It's time to take a TO with coaches Turner and O'Neill. Produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by DJ Krissy.
It's time to take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Your new favorite podcast features conversation from the world of high school, college, and pro sports, along with other riveting content. Connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at Turner O'Neill Podcast and on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, or visit www.turnerando'neill.com. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, and more than 15 podcast platforms. We also invite you into the studio each week via YouTube. Subscribe and watch each episode on our YouTube channel at Turner O'Neill Podcast. Thanks to our premier partner, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, and Insurance Alliance Group, LLC. Our sponsors, O'Neill Development, LLC, Next Level Lacrosse, A Squared Home and Office Solutions, Collins Funeral Home, and Peace Players International. And our donors, Winsight Media, Gene the Barber, Body and Beyond Wellness, and Justin O'Neill. Take a TO with Coach Turner and O'Neill is produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by me, DJ Krissy. Now we welcome you to today's episode as we take a TO with coaches Steve Turner and Casey O'Neill. Here's your host, Kurtis Cross.
One of these days, we're going to release the pre-roll footage for you guys to hear and see. But in the meantime, welcome to Season 2, Episode 8 of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. I am Kurtis Cross, your host, and with me, as always, is Coach Steve Turner, Coach Casey O'Neill, and our engineer is DJ Krissy. And together, we welcome you into the studio for this week's episode. Our premier partner for Season 2 is Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Ray is a friend of the program. He is the only mortgage lender we endorse right here at Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Thank you, Ray Cruz. He is Mortgage Intelligently. We'd like to thank our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, and the Insurance Alliance Group, LLC. This week, we deliver part 4 of our Coach Talk series with Syracuse University head coach Quentin Hillsman. Q is a local fella with a well-traveled basketball path, and he will join the podcast in just a bit. But first, fellas, how are we doing this week? Coach Turner.
Little mixed emotions today.
All right.
Hyped because it's Mental Health Monday and I'm in the studio with you guys, but Timberwolves, y'all killing me.
Ooh, yeah, they dropped the ball.
You dropped the ball.
Yeah,
you did my dude dirty. But you know what? God works in mysterious ways. He's going to get the job that he's certainly more than well deserving of, and you know, I know him. He'll handle this thing the right way and be a high character guy and be a team player. But NBA, David Vanderpool deserves better.
Coach O'Neill.
You know, on that topic, we talked about it this morning. Dame Lillard's tweet, Love seeing that. Love seeing guys of that stature saying.
McCollum too.
Yeah, CJ followed up on that tweet, but that lit kind of the snowball effect of people chiming in. Yep. So I love what he said. God works in mysterious ways. That guy, I can't wait to see him be a head coach somewhere.
Yep.
You know what? And you know what? Up there in Minnesota, no offense, we've got connections up there with the T-Wolves, but you know
they're in a bad spot.
I hate seeing. I'm just gonna call it like I see it. I hate seeing the black coach who gets the opportunity, but it's with some team that he can't win with.
Right.
This team has pieces, and he deserved an opportunity to see if he could take them to the next level. And he's not going to get that opportunity.
Here's one of the bad spots they're in. Big Cat and D'Angelo Russell have only played 90 minutes together on the floor. There are other teams where their two stars have played 600-700 minutes together. Got to get them on the floor at the same time. However, this is not one of our headlines. Anthony Edwards.
Woo.
Oh, my.
Dunk of the decade.
And he dunked. Did I tell you guys this? He dunked over one of the guys who I called for GW.
Oh, wow.
Utah Watanabe.
Oh.
That's what he done. I mean, he did him dirty.
It was.
I mean, and landed on him.
I was watching Sports Center because I'm staying up. I'm going to tell you about that in a second.
Yeah, you will.
Staying up late enough to watch, the repeats and the replays, and they were doing some of the top 10 dunks over people of like the last 20 years.
And Vince Carter is always going to be number one.
Oh yeah, I mean absolutely
the other
number
dude
one.
that I don't think gets credit for his dunks on people though, the Rain Man.
Oh,
Sean Kemp.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I think so. And that's probably young kids don't know who somebody like
Right.
Sean Kemp
But he
is.
used to do some dudes dirty.
Yeah, he did. And stand over top of him. Yeah, yes. Where's the camera? Which camera is he on?
Yeah.
Right there, Steve. Do it for the camera. That's exactly what he would do. Yes.
Oh man.
But Anthony Edwards, I mean, did you see what, I can't read it all, but did you see what Kevin Hart said?
Oh no.
Oh, I will find Kevin Hart's tweet, and you guys have got to know. Please tell us about Sammy.
Does Kevin Hart, speaking of Kevin Hart, does he get to go back to his Ty Lue seat? I think he might be shorter than Ty Lue.
Oh, he might be. You might be right on that.
All right, speaking of not those Timberwolves,
I got it.
we go for it. We'll go for it.
He said, "What the blank did this guy do to deserve this? Holy blank, Batman. Jesus Christ, man. How can you dunk on somebody like this without a crowd in the arena? What's your motivation for this type of hate?" Anthony had to have two little men in his calves that jumped at the same time he did to pull this blank off. This defender has to be thrown out of the league immediately. There's no coming back from this. He's going to have nightmares about this. I'm praying for him and his family.
Oh man.
Did you see the dunk, Krissy?
Yes.
Yes, it was nasty. But anyway.
So, speaking of not Timberwolves, a baby wolf is in the house. A baby, all black, shepherd wolf something. She is something else. We got our puppy last week, everybody. Her name is Sammy, and Coach O'Neal is tired, but Mrs. O'Neal is the rock that she always is.
Can I show our fans on the IG the dog at some point? I didn't want to do it before I got your permission.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll post it.
I might run out of data and space and
For all the
storage.
video you're taking?
I've taken probably 100 pictures since last Wednesday when we got her. But you know what? It's exciting. The girls, their hearts are full. It hit me today going on a walk. We had about 60 seconds where the dog actually wanted to walk. It's a puppy, right? So she didn't want to walk that much. She just wants to tear stuff up. But the girls are smiling, and it was, the sun was sort of out, snow was melting, and it was like, you know what? That's why we did it.
Was it a Hallmark card?
It was a Hallmark card in the head. I didn't take the picture because I was, carrying.
You were in the moment.
Carrying the poop bag,
Right.
Dad, of course, Dad's carrying that one. So
I understand.
all good, ready to rock and roll. I'm pumped about the guest tonight, and let's do this.
Krissy, DJ Krissy, our esteemed engineer. How was the weekend, young lady?
The weekend was good. Had some fun. Had a virtual party on Saturday, so got to enjoy some music and partied with some father-daughters and mother-sons partying together with their families.
Here's the beauty of virtual events that you do. They don't have to be local. Where was this one?
Oh, this was Michigan.
Wow.
Nice.
She did Michigan Parks and Rec. She did a sweetheart dance, like a father-daughter, mother-son dance.
Oh, that's cool.
Daddy-daughter kind of dance.
I love it.
Yeah, so I can't, look, I'll tell you what. I was watching it on Zoom on the way back up from AU. I walk in, and I can hear her from the front door in the studio singing along with everybody. And it was...
it may have been karaoke night.
It was Frozen. It was the song from Frozen.
Confirm or
Let
deny
it go.
that Let It Go got
let
sung.
It go. She was going for it.
Hey,
That's awesome.
That's our DJ Krissy.
That's
had
her.
fun.
All right, and any good meals you made this weekend, Krissy? You always take the weekend to cook, I know.
Oh, I sure do. I made tacos. I roasted some Brussels sprouts.
You might be the only one who wanted those.
Oh, so good.
If you're in our listening audience, send Krissy some love on the IG. Let her know if you love Brussels sprouts, please.
I love them. I know everybody hates them, but I love them. They're
You
so
do.
good.
She will stay behind those. Listen, folks, we want to thank Harry Alford for joining us last week for episode 7. If you have yet to listen to that episode, I encourage you to go back and check out episode 7. It is titled The Door Was Always Open. I believe there is some eye-opening content for our listeners in that episode. Let's hit our first break. We'll be back with this week's headline.
Body and Beyond Wellness is acupuncture and wellness consulting. Our peaceful oasis is nestled just outside the Washington, D.C. Beltway. Our acupuncture treatments, workshops, and other wellness offerings will have you feeling restored, renewed, and revived. A limited appointment schedule is now available, but you must call in advance to schedule. Call 758-7980 or visit www.thebodyandbeyond.com for more info. Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill can be found on more than 15 podcast platforms. Listen to us on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. Tune in on your preferred podcast platform. Be sure to listen, subscribe, and spread the word. Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill records weekly with episode drops each Thursday at 11 a.m.
Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill would like to thank our friends of the program: Shane Benson, Todd Bradley, Paula Cross, Susan and Brendan O'Neill Sr., Daniel Richard, Noah Richard, Andrea Terrones. If you would like to become a friend of the program, go to www.turnerando'neill.com and click Become a Friend. One Headline is brought to you by
The Tamara Cusick Team. Ready, set, sold. Real estate is more than just houses. It's about people too. The Tamara Cusick Team offers an all-inclusive approach, making the home buying and selling process efficient, financially smart, and stress-free for you. From home prep-up to complimentary staging, expert counsel to an experienced and qualified team of professionals, let's chat houses. The Tamara Cusick Team isn't just a partner. They literally sold us the home where the Take a TO broadcasts from each week. Visit www.tamara4homes, that's the number 4.com, or call 301-780-4663.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Welcome back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Today's episode is brought to you by Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. This week's headline: Fernando Tatis Jr. at the age of 22 just signed a 14-year, $340 million contract. Bobby Bonilla will still be getting paid by the Mets when Tatis's contract is complete. Steve, your thoughts?
Steve Turner, you are a dumbass. Why did you stop playing baseball?
You said it.
I'm saying it. Like, that is stupid money.
Right.
14 years.
That's guaranteed. Like, good for him. Like, excited. I mean, he's fun. He's a fun and entertaining player to watch, and he's certainly, I don't know what the numbers are that are deserving, but he definitely deserved to get paid.
Right.
Like, he gets it done. He's a everyday guy, takes care of business. So happy for him and his family. Hey, just do the right thing with it. Don't mess it up. Take care of some generations with that money. And Bobby Bo, how about that? Still getting paid.
He'll get paid 1 year beyond Tatis's contract.
Paid.
At 51, he's still getting paid.
When I was a younger lad, the Killer Bees, not the Georgia Tech, but him and Bonds.
Bobby Bonilla.
I love Bobby Bonilla for some weird reason, even though growing up, loved the Orioles and Cal Ripken at least, until my Nats came to town. But Bobby Bo was kind of the guy I liked. Then he came to the O's.
Yep.
But we got the greatest producer and engineer in the biz. But can we get Bobby Bo's agent for Take a TO? So we can be set up for that long. Couple things on Tatis. Being a hometown Nats guy, I think Juan Soto is every bit as talented as him, and it scares the living daylights out of me that the Nationals won't, because they're going to have to match that or even more, because I think those are some of the two best young players. Then you go a little bit of a older than that, and you're talking about Mike Trout and I guess Bryce Harper and some of these other guys.
Bryce underperformed last year.
He did, but I think a lot of people had rough year. I mean, last year was last year. They were all playing and learning how to play with it in these games without fans, and it's just a different type of year. But I mean, that's baseball for you. I mean, this is stupid money. This is something you see the Yankees do, the Red Sox do, the Dodgers do, but the Padres of all teams. So they're trying to do make some noise. Those Chargers, the San Diego Chargers, head up to L.A. The Padres are like, damn, we better be good because we don't want this team getting out of San Diego. And who wouldn't want to play in San Diego? The last thing I'll say on this is, you're right about investing and being smart with that money, because those taxes in California, woo. Woo.
Oh, you walked right into my statement, sir.
Uh-oh.
When he was a teenager in the minor leagues, he signed a contract with Big League Advance. Big League Advance will give minor league players an advance on potential future earnings at a very high rate. If you don't make it to the majors, you never have to pay it back. If you do make it to the majors, you gotta pay it back. The typical deal is for 8% of your future earnings. The firm has not stated the details of Tatis's contract with them. However, not that it's nothing but a drop in the bucket, but before taxes, $27.2 million is probably owed to Big League Advance.
Wow.
Unreal.
Yep. It's a company that they'll give you an advance of either $10,000, $50,000. You can get up to $500,000 in advance. If you get like a $10,000 advance, like 2% of your future earnings. All the way up to like a $500,000 advance, like 12% of your earnings. If you make it, go back to them. So it's one of those deals where, well, they don't get paid unless I get paid.
Right.
But yeah.
But they getting paid.
Yeah. The average is 8%. 8% is what the average is. And when he was in the minor leagues that season, Big League Advance spread out $26 million among 77 minor league players. So if he took the average, which was the 8% cut, $27.2 million of his contract will go to Big League Advance. Yes. So,
I'm in the wrong business, bro.
Right? So that's what I wanted to bring to your attention here. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your one headline.
Gene the Barber, located in downtown Silver Spring. Gene the Barber has been in the business of making you look good for more than 20 years. Kids cuts, adult cuts, men and women. Gene has the experience and style you're looking for. Contact Gene the Barber for an appointment by calling him direct, 240-687-7253. Our producer uses Gene the Barber and he's available for your next barbershop visit as well. Call 240-687-7253 and tell him Turner and O'Neill sent you.
Building your brand is an important part of your business growth. By advertising with Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill, you'll gain the exposure and brand recognition behind our podcast. In Season 1, we reached a total of more than 100,000 listeners, viewers, subscribers, and website visitors combined. Your company will benefit from our popularity online and during the podcast. Advertising with Turner and O'Neill equals exposure on Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, and more than 15 listening platforms total. Inquire today and let's partner to build your brand. The Starting Five is brought to you by Insurance Alliance Group, manages the gap between damage appraisal estimates from your insurance company and what you are rightfully owed based on your policy. They work on behalf of policyholders with claim assistance and disputes to maximize claims. Insurance Alliance Group serves as professional advisors and trusted advocates. The Insurance Alliance Group handles business and home property loss. Request a free claim review with the property loss professionals. Insurance Alliance Group. Visit us at insurancealliancegroup.com or call 866-574-4773.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill.
The Starting Five. Welcome back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. I'm your host, Kurtis Cross, and I'm with Coach Steve Turner, Coach Casey O'Neill, and of course, our engineer is DJ Krissy. We are up to our weekly Starting Five. 5 questions asked of each coach. They've never heard these questions, and they each have 30 seconds to answer each question. If they go over their 30 seconds, DJ Krissy, what will happen? Gentlemen, are you ready? Who we going with first?
I think Steve's up.
All right, Steve, you are up. Let's do it. The Starting Five. What one invention does the world not need?
Oh, man.
Go back again.
Give me an invention that the world did not need. Like you could say leg warmers or the iPod or whatever you think we did not need.
I'm racking my brain here.
Differ.
Oh. What invention does the world not need?
I'm gonna call a friend, Krissy. Help me out here.
Oh, he's phoning a friend. We didn't have that, but
Yeah. Come on, Krissy.
wait a minute. We have new rules.
Because I was thinking here, and I know my 30 seconds is coming up. Whatever you say, I'm gonna agree with. Come on, Krissy.
So it's your
I'm
starting
struggling.
five now.
I was gonna go seat warmers just because I think it just makes it awful.
No.
Well. And I've said that before.
Yeah, you have.
I know everyone likes the seat
Yes.
warmers.
Definitely.
It's awful.
No, it's not. Your butt gets to get hot.
That's the
Well, if
worst
you wear
part.
assless chaps, maybe you don't want them. But the rest of the world wants them.
They're buttless chaps.
Okay.
It's a family show. Stop. Krissy. You know what? Krissy said buttless chaps. That invention was terrible.
I got
That's the
mine.
answer.
Banana clips.
Banana clips?
In the 80s, it was a hair clip you put in your hair, and it was like this weird
Good answer.
half moon looking thing.
Okay.
Good answer.
It was stupid.
You could do away with those.
We can get rid of those.
Senor Turner.
I guess I'm gonna go back because I was not a fan of them.
Speedos.
No. Cross color.
Oh, now you got one.
Cross colors.
Cross colors.
We didn't need that.
We didn't need that.
Get it out of our life.
Get out of our life. I was not a fan of cross.
That was back in what, 83, 84, somewhere in there?
mid 80s.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So it was his. He deferred, but it still was his. So now it comes to you next. When you are old, which of your stories are children going to ask you about? Hey, Grandpa, tell us about that time, blah, blah, blah. What story is that going to be?
That story. They're gonna ask how Mrs. O'Neill, Eric, and I met. I think that's the right way.
Okay.
How that kind of worked out, and that's for another episode. I think it's a great story. So
Okay.
they're gonna ask about that, and I think, yeah, that's my answer. Done.
All right.
I don't want to get too involved.
Coach Turner, which of their stories, be it about you, be it about your career, what are they going to ask you? Grandpa, tell us the story again where, boom. You know what? I'm going to take it a step further. Great grandpa, because you're living that long.
Oh,
Great
wow.
grandpa. They want to hear your story.
2015 WCAC basketball championship game. Boom, mark it.
Nah, they're gonna ask me about how did I feel when Chris Jensen made the big shot.
That's the one they're going to want. Yeah, that's a good
Like,
story to tell.
good one.
What were your thoughts? I mean, for me, it probably would have been sentimental. I would have went with my wife and getting married and how do we meet and all that. But I'm gonna say, what were you feeling when Chris Jenkins made the big shot?
Okay. All right.
And I think all of ours collectively, sorry to interrupt, tell us about that podcast you did back there
There you go.
in 2020.
The thing they're hearing in syndication.
Right. Like a little phone. Just pull it up. Go ahead.
Right. All right. Coming back to you, sir. Name the product that you could best be a spokesperson for.
It's a good one.
I curated these this week.
You took some time. This is
Well,
heavy.
y'all gave me plenty of time, so I wrote a good one this week.
That's the key. Lining them up.
It's a good one.
He's already used his defer.
Yeah. Oh,
So you could be
she might get a ding going today.
She might. What could you be a spokesperson for? Besides GQ magazine, we already know that. You too. April Fool's Day edition for Hollywood.
Does he get a phone a friend too?
He does get a phone a friend if he wants.
Ooh, this is a good one though. I'm gonna say
I mean, it's been like 2 minutes now.
no.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah, I guess I got dung.
I got dung.
I got dinged and dung. That's a ooh. I'm gonna go with. I don't even know.
I think she's thinking Spalding, but I don't think they use Spalding balls. They use the Rock.
I got it. You helped me by saying that. Nike products.
Nike products. All right.
There you go.
Thank you.
I
Thank you, DJ Krissy.
I think I could do an inside out coaching type of spokesperson. That's what I would want. But something's been bothering me, and this goes back to the invention part. We watch a lot of Wheel of Fortune,
Okay.
and I would be a spokesperson for how to play that dang game.
Some people
Because
are
of the
dumb as
people I
beans.
look up, and they're buying a vowel. When you don't need to buy a vowel, like why waste the money when you know that the freaking E is there, or the I or the O.
Bingo, Jack.
Right. So
Why
there
are
you
they
go.
buying the E?
I'd be a spokesperson for that.
How to play Wheel of Fortune. Coming back to you. Is there a movie that as an adult made you cry? Which movie?
Oh man.
I'm going to put mine out there. Mine is my favorite movie of all time. and it is absolutely escaping me right now. Thank you. Life is Beautiful. Movie about the Holocaust?
Yes.
And in the end, so the Holocaust, the father does not want his son to know they're in a concentration camp and all that. So he makes it a game for his son.
Yes, I've seen it.
Yeah, that he has to stay hidden and blah, blah, blah.
Oh.
And he tells his son, you'll win a tank. That's what the prize is. If you stay hidden, you win a tank. Well, it just so happens his father doesn't make it, but the boy and his mother do. And an American tank comes up in the end. And the boy's like, Mom, we did it. We won. And he really thinks it's a game. But the father's love to keep this all away from him. That makes me cry.
So I now that you're talking about, I wouldn't have thought of that. I've seen that movie.
Right.
To the folks out there, I could be a pretty emotional guy. It doesn't take much to get me a little emotional.
Right.
That's one. Now that we're dog people, Marley and Me is another one that'll get you.
It'll get you every time.
But there's a Will Smith movie. Oh my goodness, with his son. Speaking of father and son, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
When he was homeless.
Yes.
What'd you say, Chris?
Pursuit of Happiness.
Pursuit of Happiness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that when he gets that job at the end, I mean, I'm just
Right.
oh man, he's
Yeah.
great actor.
Excellent
in that one.
movie. It was just on the other day.
There you go. That's it. That movie.
Steve, yours.
That's a good one because I don't really cry at movies, but I'd have to really think about that.
Uh-oh. We're stumping you more
What
than
have you been
normal.
doing the last 2 minutes when Kurtis and I were expressing our
I literally
feelings?
texted my wife and asked her what movie made me cry, and she
texting
gave me
friend.
the response that I thought. And you never cry at movies.
So boom, answered.
Yeah,
Because the question technically is there a movie that as an adult has made you cry? It's technically a yes or no question.
technically, then there aren't any.
All right.
What about Lion King? When you're little guy.
That didn't make me cry, but that is one of my top 5 all-time movies.
Oh.
I'll tell you a movie that might
The
make you
original.
cry.
Krissy cry.
The original, I love The Lion King.
I've never seen it.
And there's, you've never seen it?
You know what?
What people don't understand is there's a lot of
Symbolism.
symbolism to that movie. Like it's,
Not just Simba.
No.
Symbolism.
symbolism.
Simba is one of the characters.
Yes.
No, symbolism. There's a lot to that movie. I would say though, it wasn't movies, but I certainly shed some tears during this social injustice time.
Yeah.
Oh my yes.
So I wouldn't say movies made me cry, but some of the real life things we're dealing with in the
Better than
world,
Hollywood, right?
definitely.
I'll tell you what's going to make him
tears
cry.
my eyes.
The movie that's going to make him cry, either Christian or Jared's wedding video, or when they become dads. That might do it for you. That might do it for you.
Things about my
No.
kids always make me cry.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, when we talk about players. And
When
people
Claire
that have
gets
run-
married, you're going to be a mess.
Speaking of Claire in The Lion King, when she was little and watched it, and they hold Simba up over. And, there's like a song. I don't know the words, but she phrases it. Pennsylvania, Virginia. That's all she knows.
Is this the starting 5 and then some? We're going to have to rename this. We're going to have to get a new sponsor for it. All right, coming back to you, sir.
Last question, right?
Was it
It's Steve. It's gotta be.
Steve, tell me something that someone can do to instantly get on your bad side.
There's a lot. For me is,
For me, it's selfishness.
that's the big one.
Yeah.
And I guess for me in coaching, it's when I have those families who won't respect the process. I mean, it's a big thing for me is respecting the process because everyone's process is different.
Oh, yeah.
And I think at times we have become a generation, and it starts at home with the adults, of they're wanting so much in the now versus being patient for their kids' opportunity to come, because it's going to come. It whatever it is, it's going to come.
You got a plan, right?
And certainly, I have a plan, but I'm just working the plan for our group. The individual stuff will come from our plan for that player and how talented they are and whatever that level is for them to be. But sometimes I think parents want it too soon.
I was approached one time about a girl moving up from, I moved her up from JV to varsity, and her parents sent me an email and said, she can certainly play for you in varsity. She was a JV player, Marginal, though. Very good skill set, very cerebral, but 5'8". And when you play in the post at 5'8" in public school, that's fine, but where does it go from there? Not many places. And the parents wrote an email, as long as your interests align with our interests. And I'm like, well, what are your interests? They wrote back one word, scholarship. She's 5'8" in a public school gym. You didn't make varsity as a freshman. Where do you go at 5'8" when you're not a ball handler? You have great post moves, but in 3A Montgomery County, that could work, but not next level. Maybe I'm still feeling that one a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Right. You have, it's always, we've said this before, Division I parents and with Division III kids or Division II. Right. Not a knock on Division III or Division II because some incredible
There's some
athletes.
things happening there.
Yeah, and that sounds like a perfect situation.
The NESCAC?
The NESCAC.
Yes, it came through the NESCAC. I was able to drop NESCAC.
All right. My things that would get on
burn your butt.
Bats. So I could talk a lot about that parent thing and just the expectations and just, there's a whole series on that. But politeness. If we're driving and I let you in and you don't wave, oh boy. If I hold a door for you, I don't care about the day and age. Oh, I can, you don't say thank you. I mean, just manners like things like that.
I think I've said it to you before, even around nuts. in our own building. Those who you just wave and say hi, and they don't even respond.
And a young man getting off a bus team, and they don't say thank you to that driver. Ooh,
oh, yes, sir.
Man.
I used to make my girls do that all the time.
Oh, that'll get me. So
that'll get you. I hear you. So that was a tough one this week. I'm going to have to ease up on y'all next week, ladies and gentlemen.
Keep them coming.
That is your starting five. The starting five. A Squared Home and Office Solutions is the go-to source for home or office network and audiovisual solutions. We can help with smart home integration, wireless networking, media rooms, security systems, and more. We will link technology to your style seamlessly. Visit homeandofficesolutions.com for more info.
Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill would like to thank our partners, sponsors, and donors. Our premier partner, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, Insurance Alliance Group, LLC. Our sponsors, O'Neill Development, LLC, Next Level Lacrosse, A Squared Home and Office Solutions, Collins Funeral Home, Peace Players International. Our donors, Winsight Media, Gene the Barber, Body and Beyond Wellness. Since 1939, the Collins family has served families of Montgomery County and Greater Washington with dignified professional service in their time of need. We continue the same family tradition today at our funeral home located just off the Beltway in Silver Spring, Maryland. Our family of experienced funeral directors stand ready to assist you around the clock, 365 days a year. Whether you wish to pre-plan or you have experienced a loss, please contact us to discuss how we can assist you at your time of need. Call 301-593-9500 or visit collinsfuneralhome.com.
Winsight Media. Winsight delivers connections and intelligence to four of the fastest growing verticals: convenience retailing, grocery businesses, restaurants, and non-commercial food service through broad and cutting-edge platforms. No company is better positioned to meet the food industry's needs than Winsight. Connect with us at www.winsightmedia.com.
This segment of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill is sponsored by
Ray P. Cruz, Mortgages Intelligently.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest is a local Prince George's County product who has worked his way up the coaching ladder, having paid his due with several coaching positions along the way. Quentin Hillsman has earned more than 300 career wins as the head coach of the Syracuse Orange women's basketball program, with 12 seasons of 20-plus wins, only having missed the postseason play once in his career. Quentin Hillsman is here to take a TO with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Mr. Quentin Hillsman. Quentin, thank you for joining us today. I believe you know the gentleman to my right, Coach Steve Turner.
Q.
That's the reason why. And listen, that's why I'm at Syracuse. After some time with Steve Turner in Newport, he taught me the game, and here I am. I probably owe Steve a little offering.
Hey, I'll take it. Believe me, especially during these COVID times, I will take anything you want to send my way. Q, man, appreciate you for joining us tonight.
Man, it's my pleasure, man. It's good to hear your voice too, Steve. It's my pleasure.
Coach Q, I heard about some lunch orders y'all would place down on Newport Mill Road. Is there any truth to that rumor about those lunches y'all had?
Let me tell you how true it is. I just went and got me some combination lo mein, little spicy, little combination fried rice with extra duck sauce, just to remember the days me and Big Steve used to go sit down at the Chinese joint.
China Gourmet.
China Gourmet. We used to get down in and out of there in about 31 minutes. We only had 30 minutes, so we got in there about 31 minutes. We always sold about 2 minutes a day for lunch extra, but it was a good time, man. We had a really good time.
All right, and with us today is Coach Casey O'Neill.
Coach, how are you? I am a longtime colleague of Coach Turner's here, although I coach lacrosse, and up there where you guys are in central New York, there is Syracuse is a big lacrosse school, but I got to give a shout out. There's a friend of mine who goes down to the St. Mary's River. You went to St. Mary's College and coached there, correct? I mean, how beautiful is that body of water right there, right off the campus? So doing a little research of your background today, and I just want to say, hey, thank you for joining us.
Oh, man, it's my pleasure. I had a fun time down there at St. Mary's College down there. You're right off the water. It's beautiful down there, man. I had a great time.
Awesome.
Well, Coach, I'm a big fan of women's basketball and a fan of yours as well. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, but you've had a string of postseason appearances. In fact, you haven't missed a postseason opportunity since your first year at Syracuse. How challenging is it for you year after year to meet each season and each team with what is needed to find their level of success?
I think the toughest part when I first started coaching was being in the Big East. I mean, we had, Vivian Stringer, Gino Auriemma, Muffet McGraw, Mike Carey, West Virginia. I can name all these Hall of Famers, man. I got baptized my first year, so I had to figure it out. I had to get some players, man. So it was just a very important minute to really get our recruiting base going, and we just started getting some quality players, and it made life a little bit easier around here.
Well, you and I think it should not go without being said that you went from the Big East to the ACC, and you're still finding that success. Actually, as we speak, we're watching Syracuse men at Duke on the monitors here in the studio. I didn't realize that would be on. Coach Turner, your question.
Q, I'm gonna take you back, and I'm taking you back to Newport. You have gotten to the where you are today at Syracuse by having to do hard work and grind it out through high school, being an assistant coach at a couple different levels of college basketball, and then now sitting on the big stage. Talk to the listeners and talk to coaches out there, men and women, who are striving to do and maybe be in the seat that you're sitting in, and talk about some of those obstacles you had along the way and what things you had to do to get over top of those obstacles.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, honestly, and this is not saying it because you're on the phone, Steve, but it started with guys like us, like myself, you, Chris Chaney, Keith Stevens, Cedric Baker. We just spent so much time together talking about basketball, learning basketball, disagreeing about basketball. And during those times when you just get better. And I think that's the first thing is just getting better and not thinking that your way is the only way. Cause I just remember just all of us sitting in their room, Steve. I know you can remember this time, man. We had a lot of talent, but we also had a lot of ideas on how we needed to coach that talent. And I can tell you, there's something that I've taken from everyone that I've coached with. And one of the things that I took from you, Steve, I can honestly say this, is just discipline. You were big on discipline. You were big on making those kids do what we said they need to do every time and not compromising that. And I think that's something that I took from you, and I can go down the list on every coach that I've worked with that I've taken something from positive. And then obviously it's just just the hard work. I hate the term paying your dues, because I think that we all coach at some point to where we're volunteering and we're giving our time. And obviously that's because we love the game and we love coaching young men and coaching women and young women to go on and reach all their goals. And I just believe in that, when you work hard and you are a lifelong learner, that you get better. I think some of the downfalls is just being too tough on yourself. I know that when I first got to this level, I was very hard on myself about winning. I was very, 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 very hard on myself about making sure that everything was ran properly. And sometimes you can get to a point to where you can be such a stickler of things that you don't sit back and marvel at some of your successes and some of the blessings that you've gotten from the game of basketball. And right now, man, being 15 years here at Syracuse, it's like I probably tripled the life expectancy of any college coach in one place. Mm. So it's like now I'm just enjoying it, man, and maybe just looking back and understanding that we had great players and I had great people around.
I know this, and as I talked to Keith and I talked to Seth Baker and Cheney and those guys, I mean, we're definitely proud of you and what you've been able to do. This is a follow-up question to that because, Q, you were with the men's side of the game, but you made a choice at that point when all of us in that group were trying to stay in the men's game. You said, you know what, I'm going to do something a little different. What made you make the choice to go with the women?
Honestly, I remember the day, man. Like, I remember the day we was sitting there and Colin Stevens came downstairs, and I think I was probably the first door that he got to. And you know how Colin is, Steve. He can sell it to you.
Yes, sir.
And Colin just started talking about on the girls team there and just how we could build a really good program and how we'd be able to get players in and be able to just to have the opportunity of running your own program. And I think that was attractive to me, but also too just loving Newport, giving me my opportunity when I coach great players. Turner, we was loaded, man. We had players, we had great coaches. And I think going to the women's side at that point was just a challenge because they weren't doing really well, but they had a couple good players. And we just kind of made this build it. We had Aisha Williams, yep, Robin Vanoy, Miriam Van Panthora. I mean, we just had some players. Andrew Jordan. I mean, I can go down the list. They just got better, and we grew and we learned together.
That's awesome.
Quentin, Coach O'Neill here. So, I'm the father of two young ladies. And reading your bio, I know you have two sons, and I would imagine each year you've got, I don't know, the roster 12 to 15 daughters every season on your bench and on the court. So my question really is speaking to the audience, and especially the young women. And I think of my 12-year-old daughter who loves basketball. But what are some of the lessons day in and day out that you can kind of extend to those young girls working hard, trying to play in the ACC or in the Big East or in the Big 12? And again, not only on the court and the hard work you talked about, but then off the court, minding their P's and Q's and making sure they're doing the work they need to do.
Absolutely. I think it's all about being well-rounded in everything that it takes to be a great athlete. And it starts with your academics. We always preach that to these kids. They think it's just going to happen. And it's not going to just happen. You gotta put the work in, and you gotta get your stuff done. You gotta take care of your academics. You gotta take care of all your personal stuff. It's just, in this day and time, I can tell you, I probably cut more recruits from social media than anything else now. I watch their Instagram, I watch their Twitters and all the things that they do, and their Snapchats. I just get rid of them. I just get them off my list because they just don't understand that all that stuff is so important when you're going to the next level because you have to be marketable. And we see time and time again. I know we've all seen it to where all these people come back for something that's 10 years old or 15 years old, and they lose their job, they lose their opportunities because they made a bad decision when they were in high school. And now being in high school is not an excuse. Being young is not an excuse anymore. You have the same responsibility and held to the same standards as adults. And when you're making these decisions, and as far as the athletic standpoint, is what we all teach, right? Be in shape, master your craft, work hard, and don't take any day for granted. I think that's the most important thing.
Thank you.
Over the years, and seemingly with abundance in the past few years, we've seen an increasing number of international students as student athletes in the women's game. I think your roster has 4 or 5 young ladies who are international students. Is there something about international players that fit today's style of hoops better than in years past, or what do you attribute that to?
I think the first thing to start with is that we all know the game of basketball now. Everything is a stretch everything, right?
Right.
You got to stretch 5, stretch 4. There are no more back to the basket players anymore. If you find one of those that can score, you gotta play differently. And honestly, right now I have a 6'7" kid, and she can score. So now she has us playing a little different style with playing some more post up stuff, and that's what we're doing now a lot of, because she can really score the ball inside. But I think that the international game has really evolved our game into just being, for lack of a better word, having hybrid players that can do it all. And my international experience came from obviously playing in Europe when I left college for a couple of years, but also more importantly was I coached a national team over there in the Netherlands and Estonia. And I really just really fell in love with the international game and the way they play. And that's been a big thing for me, and it really changed the way we recruit and change our style of play.
Well, your roster certainly looks that way. It shows.
Absolutely.
The end. This is Steve again. The end of your answer there leads to my question.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about who influenced how you play and how you coach the game. Talk to us about some of the people who've influenced your style and the way that you recruit for your program.
Well, I think that from the beginning, when I first got here to Syracuse, I'm going to work my way backwards here. When I first got here to Syracuse, I remember obviously Syracuse is known for their zone, and I was not a zone guy. Right? I just was not a zone guy. And I remember sitting downstairs and watching our men's team play, and in my first year, and we had a lot of injuries in that year. We were down to about 8 scholarship players, and I was sitting in my office one day. I looked out the window. I watched Coach Boeheim's practice from my office window. And I looked over sharp right over my shoulder and saw all these banners. I'm like, man, he's doing something right. He's seeing all these banners. And they're like, he hasn't been here for that point. I think it was like 39 years or something like that, because he's so bad.
Right.
So that kind of started me thinking, okay, what's going to be my staple? How do I want to play? And like I said, I wasn't a zone guy, but I learned zone from him, because I actually every day was like a zone clinic. Because you can look out the window and watch the game and watch them teach and watch and learn. And then working backwards, I've always been a guy who wanted to play in transition. So I wanted to play fast. And being at Siena, coaching on the women's side, and on the men's side we had Paul Hewitt. So Paul Hewitt was the men's coach at Siena when I was there. And obviously another Montgomery County dude, Cliff Warren. Cliff Warren was on Paul's staff. And I just picked Cliff's brain for a while. Actually, Cliff saved my life, man. I slept on Cliff's couch, man. I was making $21,000 a year. I ain't have any money, so Cliff gave me heat, hot water, and food. So I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. Right? So being around Cliff was huge, because Cliff was a guy who would work really hard with his players on player development. He was just very meticulous in his scouts, so his game prep was just impeccable. And I learned that from him. I learned the pace from Paul. I learned the hard work from Gina Castelli, who I worked for at Siena, and I worked for Shan Hart at American. She's a very good coach. She had, we had all these secondary offense. I remember they were all colored. And let me tell you something right now, we had every color in the rainbow. but we played fast, and we played up and down, and we never said anything else. We just played in transition. And I think that those were the early parts of me developing a style of play. And then, just from there, obviously just changing with the times and being able to adapt to the game.
Man, that's awesome.
Coach, it's Casey O'Neill here again. So you just kind of answered the folks that sort of influence you or you learn from, but you clearly are a huge role model to these young women. And so my question is, what are they after 4 years? If I could put you on the spot, after 4 years, what would you want them to take away from their head coach? If they could say one thing that you taught them. Wins are awesome, ACC championships and NCAA tournaments, but they walk away 10, 20 years from now. What are they saying that they learned from coach?
Discipline, because I don't think you can accomplish anything if you don't have discipline. And I mean, think about it. Every job that we have, you have to follow some rules, and you have to be disciplined. And also, sometimes, right, following rules and kind of falling in line to things you may not necessarily want to do. And I think that it's all about discipline. It's all about can you get to a place? Can you be disciplined? Can you work as a team? And can you follow some instructions?
Thank you.
Coach, going back to your success, you're on the national stage. You've coached in the national championship game. You've successfully moved from the Big East to the ACC. Was this your goal from St. Mary's to Alabama to Syracuse now? Where did you see this going for you? What was Coach Q's intent?
Nah, man, I want to be an agent. That was my goal. My goal was to be an agent. I got to Newport because I was in graduate school, finishing my master's at the U.S. Sports Academy.
Yes, I saw
and I had
that.
and I had to have an internship and a mentorship to finish my master's. And I went to Newport School not to even coach. I knew Chris Chaney. I knew Keith Stevens. And Keith Stevens and I have been friends since Big Wheel, so forever. And I said, can you ask your boss, could I come there and do something so I can finish my master's? And what they needed, they were trying to get an athletic fundraising project together. So that ended up being my graduate project, almost like my capstone.
Right.
So
okay.
I didn't go there to coach at all. I didn't go to coach. So honestly, when I got there, I was still playing a little bit. So I said, I ended up playing with the guys and playing in practice with Chris. Those guys, I started helping Chris with the boys and kind of just got going because obviously you guys know this living there. When you were out there, I live in PG County. So for you to get from Montgomery County to PG County, if you ain't leave by 3 o'clock, you might as well leave at 6.
Right. That traffic.
Right. So honestly, and this is a true story. I ended up coaching because of traffic.
Get out of here.
Because I couldn't get home, so I might as well stay.
Right. Okay.
So I just started helping out with the guys because I wasn't sitting in rush hour. I mean, the first couple of weeks, I'm leaving at 3 o'clock. Like, yeah, man, I'm good, And then you say, okay, it's 3:30. Okay, now I'm leaving now. Like, oh man, you get home at 6. I'm getting home at the same time Chris and Keith getting home. I left an hour and a half before them.
Ladies and gentlemen,
just staying.
We can finally say that the DMV traffic has brought something good in this world because we would not have had Coach Q.
And the other way, if you didn't leave out of PG County by 7:30, you were late. Period.
There you go.
So man, it was like a mad scramble both ways. And man, honestly, I just ended up staying and I obviously always loved the game. I played at every level, so I always loved the game. But I never wanted to coach. I really wanted to be an agent, man. And then obviously you move it over to the girls' side, and man, I mean, I think for my first 5 or 6 years, I was quitting every day, man. It's my last day, man. I'm quitting. It's my last day. And now sitting here, now in 2021, still coaching, and one of the best decisions I ever made.
Successfully as well.
Yeah, man, it's tough too. And think about the coaching thing is I tell people, coaching is like you win or you lose. There are no, this ain't, basketball, there ain't no ties. You're going to win or you lose. So every game, there is either a tremendous high or unbelievable low, right?
Right.
It's just what it is, man. And you start doing that, man, you're like, my goodness. And being here in Syracuse is like, you can lose a game. We lost the other night. We come home, I get off the plane. We get on the bus to get back to campus, and I can't even find my car. So it's like, So now you're dealing with that too, man. It's like, man, you gotta love it to be up here, man. You gotta love it. And I can tell you right now, man, the weather is tricky up here, but man, my thing is just once you get to these 4 months, Hey, but the other 8 months is like Hawaii, man. It's beautiful.
There you go.
Q, so I guess you would say your profession chose you.
Oh, there is no question. My profession and rush hour traffic. That's what got me, man. My profession and rush hour traffic.
Q, what I want you to talk to everybody about right now is your why. Tell us what your why is.
Because I like to see people succeed. I really love to see people succeed. And when I can coach my girls and they leave here with a degree and they have some success while playing here and they can go on and reach their goals, I'm just really ecstatic. You guys know this about being coaches. Every player's not going to like you, right? Every player's not going to leave your place saying, "Man, I had a successful athletic career or experience." But I have a 100% graduation rate. There's never been a player that did a 15 year here that has not graduated. And in 15 years, man, I can honestly say that every year has been a success because they all graduate. They all go on and have successful careers, whether it's playing WNBA or in Europe or in the corporate world. So I just feel like that my career has been a success because of that.
Coach, my final question here. I love your answer that your why. You like seeing people succeed, and clearly yourself and Steve way back when. You know, Coach Turner, who I'm sitting next to here, has succeeded at Gonzaga in the high school level. He did say, though, his jump shot way back in the day was much better than yours. I don't know if that's supposed to go on the court or not.
Q, that's a lie.
No, you did say it. No.
I was going to say, also, Coach Turner may have succeeded in basketball, but not in the horse games, buddy.
Q, that's a true story.
Q
won the horse games at Newport.
I love it.
That's very true.
But Coach, real quick before go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
But listen though, the horse games were vicious though. Now they wasn't now Steve being modest, he didn't we wasn't winning, and he would have listen every day, man. You're talking about people shooting shots off the stage, people out in the hallways shooting them underhanded. So now some of
the Jordan Bird McDonald's commercial.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. and cheating. Like I got pee. Ain't no pee in horse, man. What are you talking about? Let's take somebody down, man. Hey, listen. But the competition between the coaches was probably more vicious than the competition with the kids, man. You talking about play? Listen, we just played touch football in the gym. Remember that, Steve?
Yes.
We played touch football in the gym. It was vicious, man. People leave there with ice.
Well, what about the Newcomb? What about the Newcomb games?
Yeah. Beaming each other and stuff, man.
But
let me tell you.
When you could still beam a kid with a ball.
That's right.
Can't do it anymore.
Listen, no, man. Listen, we used to play dodgeball, like, man. If it don't hit you in the head, it don't count. Like, man, it was vicious, but we had such a good time. And you know what the difference was, though, man? Good time, honestly. Back in those days, when you taught a kid, their parents came to school, so you knew their parents, you knew the kids. So there was never a lot of disrespect. Like we coached and taught. Like it didn't happen.
Q, I think the other thing that was with that is that we, the summer camp. So those kids, we had the grade school kids there, and so those kids looked up to the older kids, and the older kids were big brothers and big sisters to those kids, and just the faculty and staff was so cohesive in terms of working together and being supportive of each other. I only got 1 year there with you guys, but that experience I will never ever forget.
And we had NBA guys there, right? They left there, and like I can look on DJ's page, I can look on Jameson Brewer's page, I can look on Ronnie White's page, and they're still friends with kids from Newport School, man. Just like somebody who didn't have an athletic bone in their body, but just a family. Just like when Steve called me even the other day, it's like, boom, pick up, what's up? Like we never missed a beat because this is who we were and how tight we were as a family.
Coach, so again, my last question, and I love the competitiveness, the competing that before practice, after practice, little games that I don't think our kids get enough of these days when they just kind of get outside the sport. But you touched on something earlier in this interview or this conversation about social media, and I think we have so many young people that listen to this podcast. And if you don't mind just kind of repeating what you said about how important your social media is for these young ladies and young men, and that these coaches in college look at those TikToks, those Instagrams, Facebooks, and Twitter, how important it is, because that's the world we're in today, and in the snap of a finger, scholarships, things can happen. Can you just touch on that real quick?
Absolutely. It can kill your dreams. I'm just telling you, it can kill your dreams. You got to think before you press send. We have our kids here, and they sign social media agreements, not just so they won't embarrass themselves or our program, just so they don't kill their futures, man. Mm-hmm. Because let me tell you, man, you can post the wrong thing and it's over. And people think, but I deleted it. Yeah, but somebody already sat, somebody already screenshotted it, so it's over. So it's so important, because we literally have a coach that will follow these players that we're recruiting, and if they post something, we just call and say, listen, man, we can't recruit you any longer, but let me help you. You take that down.
Wow.
Prime example. I have a kid that we just dropped off our list. She just had a birthday. She's at a birthday party. Obviously, she didn't be at a party because there's no gathering. She has a party, and right over her right shoulder, it was a bottle of liquor. She just turned 17. She ain't even legal to drink.
Yep.
So whoever bought the liquor is in trouble. She's in trouble. And I just say, hey, listen, we're not going to go any further, but let me tell you, you need to take that down because of that. Something that simple.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Q, my last one's not really a question, but I want to give some people a little background about you. Now, Dapper J Wright gets a lot of love on the men's side of the game. But I don't think people know about Quentin Hillsman. He was doing this way back, man.
Sure was.
You are definitely, if not number one, you're 1A, 1B with Jay when it comes to college coaches is best dressed in the game, period. I got to say Stackhouse is stepping it up a little bit too. But
Stack looking good now. All right.
talk about, tell them a little bit about your love for fashion. People don't understand. I learned a lot from you about fashion, from pleats to no pleats to how your pants should be hung. Right. You used to tell me about the what were the buttons so they don't crack. All the different things these little tips you used to give me about fashion. Dude, you was Dapper Don before Dapper Don. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and you still doing it.
Man, look, it was funny because I think that when I got my first, I told Steve this too. I said the first time you get something made, you're done. You're not going to be able to buy anything else off the rack again.
Yep. Because
it just fits you differently, right? And then you can pick your own fabric. I go to a place in New York City. They got you can go on 34th Street and buy fabric for months. And that's my outlet, man. I was there with a plane going to the city, and I'll go down there, I'll pick out my fabric, I'll pick out my linings, I'll pick out my buttons, and I go to my tailor and say, this is what I want. And I've been doing that since 97, 98.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for a long time. I got a hook that you can't do anything different. But too, when you're a little short, fat dude, it's easier, man, because it's going to fit you right.
Look, I miss my man, Harry Gus, up in Baltimore, man.
Absolutely, man. You're going to get that fabric, baby. Gus shut down, man. I had to go out there and pour a little liquor, man. I was hurt.
Look, and then our guy in Tacoma Park, that.
Absolutely.
God rest his soul.
Yes.
Man, that used to make the suits right out of his basement, right across the street from Eastern Middle School.
Absolutely, man. Go over there, man. This dude, you can sit there with him and he'll talk to you. And he'll be so. I remember, man. He made me, true story, man. I was going to this event. He made me a pair of pants while I sat there. He just cut them, made them. He says, they may not be perfect. I said, I just need the color, man. We good. I need that color, man. We good. And man, yeah. I was talking, Steve, I just talking about the 2-inch cuffs.
2-inch cuffs,
We
baby.
talk about getting the box pleat.
Yep.
Right. And making sure you move the buttons, man. You gotta change the buttons and cover your buttons when you send them to the cleaners. Yeah, man. Even now, we talk about that all the time. You're right, man.
So, Steve, you missed one thing. So, Q, I don't know if you remember. I may have sent you an email about this earlier. You and I met about 4 years ago. You were coaching against GW, and I announced games for A-10 teams, and now I'm with the Patriot League. But you came down for, I think the tournament was supposed to be out of town, but they couldn't because of a hurricane.
Yeah.
You came to G. You remember, November 25th is when I met you. You were nice enough to take a picture with me after you ran through everybody in that tournament. But as you guys know, coaches don't stay in the coach's box. So I'm trying to dodge Q the whole time while I'm trying to watch this game, and I'm trying to call the plays for this game.
He works the sideline now.
Yeah, he works the sidelines. But here's what you missed, Turner. He puts his hand on the scores table. Q, who does your nails? Because he has the best nails of any coach. I'm telling you, his nails are perfect. I told my wife this. Q, who does the nails, Q?
Hey, I'm going to tell you what's funny about that, man. It's like, every time I go to D.C., I go to this lady named Renee up at College Park, and every time I go home to D.C., I promise you, 2 things I do. I go down there, I get my nails done, and I go over 7th Avenue and get me a steak, ham, and cheese. You got to do it.
So, Coach, you know I paid attention because the nails were perfect.
That's hilarious. I can tell you, man. It's probably about a month ago, and we in this pandemic. Everybody kind of going through it. People ain't getting haircuts and all this whole 9 yards. And we have a game. I'm in a timeout, and my parents said, "Damn, Coach, your nails are popping." like, how you get your nails done? I was there like, yo, man, watch the play. So she said, "Damn, Coach, your nails popping."
I noticed that, and I noticed that day. But, Coach, you got to give me some sight lines. I'm there. I can't even see the game. Coach Hillsman is, and I'm not going to tell him.
Right.
I'm not going to say, "Excuse me, Coach," because I want that picture after the game. So thanks for the picture, Coach.
Hey, man, you got what you got to do, man.
Here's our final question. We have something here called the starting 5. Each coach answers questions they've never heard before. And they get 5 questions, but I'm only going to ask you one. Our engineer, DJ Krissy, has the timer. And if you go over 30 seconds, she will let you know by doing that right there. So here it goes. My questions for you is as follows. Just one. You are in a championship game as a player. When your name is announced in the starting lineup, what music are they going to play? What's the hype music for Coach Q to be introduced onto the court?
Doom, doom, doom. Yeah.
Oh,
you gotta have that, man.
He's going with
I'm ready for that.
That's mystical. I think
Mystical.
that's mystical. Yes.
Yeah. You have a mystical.
Here I go.
Brown. 1 and 2. Right. I told my wife. I said, "Listen, when I pass away, just play Run Joe, man.
Just play Run Joe, the
If I'm
Godfather."
federal, just play Run Joe. I want y'all to play because listen, I want y'all to be partying, man. I want y'all to be sad, man. Because I lived a good life, man. Things have been great for me, man.
Well, Coach Q, we are following you. I'll be honest, I was starstruck when I called that game at GW because Syracuse was coming to town, and I was going to see Coach Q. So,
and you know, we're going to shoot that 3, right? We're going to let that thing go a couple times, too.
Well, this, I did say that was my last question, but you're hoarding players up there. How are you going to have Camilla as a freshman at 6'7"? As a freshman, Q?
Man. Hey, listen, and remember now, she get this year back. So, I mean, she'll be a freshman again next year, too.
Look, the ACC don't want to hear that. I want to hear that, but your counterparts don't want to hear that.
I'm good. I'm good. When she go, I go. So, we'll be done then.
All right, Coach, look, first I want to thank you again for joining us. We know that coaching Division I back. I mean, you were at Vatech, I think, a few days ago. It's demanding, but for your friend Steve Turner, you made time for us. So please tell our listeners, how can they connect with Syracuse program? Tell them your social media, and I know you want them to be a fan, but how do they connect with you?
Oh, man, it's easy. Our social media is very easy. It's our Twitter stuff is Coach Q at SU. All right, that's the Twitter, Coach Q at SU, and obviously it's all of them are pretty much the same. SU Women's Basketball at SU Women's Basketball. You can get that, and everything is just through that, man. I mean, You know how Brannigan is, right? Brannigan, marketing and branding is the same thing. They want you to know what it is, so they ain't trying to trick you.
Right. Well, you know what? We're following you. We appreciate the time you've taken today. Ladies and gentlemen, the winningest coach in Syracuse women's basketball history, Mr. Quentin Hillsman.
Thanks, Coach.
Q, man.
Guys, thank you,
Appreciate you. Love catching up, man. Let's stay in touch and go get back to that national championship.
Got to do it, man. Good to hear you, Steve. Take care, man.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach. DJ Krissy, let's have a word from our sponsors. Next Level Lacrosse. Train like a Spartan. Next Level Lacrosse is dedicated to providing a terrific lacrosse experience that is intensely focused on player development and character formation. Players at all levels will improve significantly through professional coaching and carefully designed training programs. We stress proper technique and a tireless work ethic, from beginning programs to rec leagues, travel clubs to summer programs. We develop the young and experienced players alike. Next Level Lacrosse has a rich tradition of running the best middle and high school lacrosse leagues in the DMV area. You will find us at www.nextlevelspartans.com or call 240-497-1460.
We invite your questions, comments, and show ideas. Simply go to www.turnerandoneil.com and click Submit Your Idea.
Connect with us socially on Instagram and Facebook at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, on YouTube, just search Turner and O'Neill, then subscribe. And of course, you can visit our website at www.turnerandoneil.com. O'Neill Development is a custom builder in Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and the Eastern Shore. Recognized nationally as a premier builder, O'Neill Development has received awards for historic restoration and urban infill work. Committed to best practices in green building, O'Neill Development also provides support in budgeting, architect selection, and design development during the critical stages of planning. O'Neill Development, building, remodeling, and development since 1975. Find us at www.o'neilldev.com or call 301-840-9310.
This segment of Take It to Yo with Turner and O'Neill is sponsored by...
From Washington, D.C. to Ocean City, Woodbridge to Columbia, Richmond to Virginia Beach, the hottest DJs are right here. The Mid-Atlantic Professional DJ Association.
Current social distancing does not allow for event gatherings in the traditional sense. When it's time to plan your bar bat mitzvah, office party, Sweet 16, or any event, we've got your party solution. Dynamic DJ Entertainment is your virtual event experts. Our virtual events division has perfected an entertainment experience like none other. We bring the celebration to you. Contact us for virtual trivia, office parties, nightclub nights, or any event. Dynamic DJ Entertainment is your virtual event solution. Visit www.mapdja.com or call 301-942-4500.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take It to Yo with Turner and O'Neill.
We are back with Take It to Yo with Turner and O'Neill. Thanks for listening and watching as we enjoy meeting you here each week. Gentlemen, what a wonderful guest to have, Mr. Quentin Hillsman. You know, when I was doing my research on him, he is the winningest coach in Syracuse history. He's had one losing season. He has not qualified for the playoffs once in 15 years, and that was his first year. And like he said, when he got baptized, and he was getting, trial by fire in that Big East with Gino was there, like he said, Vivian was there. Everybody was in that conference, but he has made the postseason in one way, shape, or form every single year, and it was 4, maybe 5 years ago. He was in the national championship game. He ran into UConn, and who doesn't run into UConn? But it is great that he was able to take time. I mean, this is Division I. They're just getting games where they can, and he's finding time. Thank you, Steve, for bringing him on the show. But your thoughts, Quentin Hillsman.
Yeah, look, how cool is it that sort of the history and what he talked about, right? That his dream was to be an agent.
Right.
And that how the world works and how this small world it is. You're in a gym with him coaching at Newport years ago, and fast forward 20, 25, however many years it is, and
20,
the things he's learned along the way. Again, I mean, the guests we have week in and week out talk about a lot of things. Hard work is number one. He talked about that hard work. I love how he talked about, I want my girls to understand discipline.
That's the thing, right?
Oh, I mean, it wasn't even, let me think. No,
it wasn't a question for him.
But the coolest part of listening to, and I've never met him before, but just I feel like I know him really well now. And I think it's so cool for people to see, because of that social media, people get bashed on Twitter all the time. Yep. The coaches at that level have a lot of pressure. But man, he's just one of the guys. Father of 2 kids, married up there at Syracuse, doing his thing, just laughing, just working hard. And I wish people would understand how hard these coaches work, like someone like Q. So,
I mean, he's drawing up X's and O's. I mean, what people don't get, and Q does it, Steve, you do it. Once the game is done, you take a little time to digest the game and, see where he went wrong. You're looking at film, and if you have 2 or 3 days in between games, okay, so we can really break down what happened yesterday. You're planning for the next one.
Right.
I mean, that's what you're doing.
Short-term memory.
Yeah, and you have to look at film. You have to break it down. You have to look at the last time you played PVI and see where did they have their success. Yeah. What we have to zero in on. Okay, they like short corner extended. Let's take that away or whatever. He's got to do this, and everybody has film on it. Everybody. And these plays are not taken away from any high school game, but it's next level now. And he's looking at Division I players where everybody was a Chris Likes, right? Everybody was that guy or that woman on that team. He's got to break all this down. And of course, he has a staff to do it, but to not have a losing season, only have one losing season out of 15 seasons, God, he's got to have a great support staff.
Yeah.
He's got to have, and like you said, I think it was fascinating. Thank you for answering or asking that question. They got someone dedicated to looking at the social media of these recruits.
He mentioned it earlier in the interview.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, geez, I'm going to ask.
You got to get back to that, right?
I got to get back to that. Plus, it was on my list of things to ask. But for the young people that listen to this, and we got a lot of them, they need to hear that from the top of the top. I mean,
and we're not talking about once you become a senior and you're looking at schools or a junior.
Yes.
You're in 8th grade, tame your social media now.
Yes.
Delete all the stuff before you even get into the clearinghouse, right?
Just don't put it up.
Yeah,
right.
Don't get that stuff out of there.
Just don't put it up.
Yeah. If your grandmama can't look at it, then don't put it up. Mm-hmm. That's it, right?
Depends on who your grandmama is.
Well, yeah, it does. This is your guy. This is Q. Y'all, China Gourmet.
Yeah.
We're talking, what, you said 22 years ago, so we're talking 99.
Yeah, I came to Gonzaga right from Newport, and
this is your guy. This is what you expected? You know who we were getting, huh?
Yes.
This guy's fabulous.
And he just does it the right way, and it's in its simplicity. Yeah. I don't there's nothing flashy, fancy about it, except for the suits.
And the glasses.
And the glass. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, impeccable.
He's laid out, huh?
Laid out. But I saw it back then in Newport.
Right.
It's just his care for people. To have those candid one-on-one conversations that we would have or in small groups. Q always cared about the people around him, whether it be peers or the kids. And he was always there to lend a helping hand in any kind of way that he could, whether it just be giving you some advice or just listening. And I watched when he did take over the women's, how quick those young ladies looked to him like a father figure, right, and respected him and trusted him and worked their tails off. He was hard on them. Like, he pushed them to be the best version of them he could be. Right. And I think that goes back to his answer of my why. My question about his why.
Seen them succeed.
He just wanted to see them succeed.
Yep.
And he has seen a lot of women succeed over his 22 to 23 years in coaching the women's game of basketball.
I think you wanted to say something?
I was just going to say that. Was that why? As you were talking right there, Coach, was that I love that why. I'd like to see people succeed. You don't hear that very often, right? A lot of times, what is your why? Oh, I just want to compete. That's one of mine.
Win a trophy.
I want to win. I want to do all those things, but I love hearing that. I want to see others. I mean, that's kind of the motto. We we try to live by is being men and women for others.
Yep.
I mean, that personifies it completely, but you don't get there without that discipline, without that tough love. And I'm sure those practices, I can only imagine if you're up there in the rafters, that people are running, the whistles are blowing, and the voice is raised, and everybody's going to be on time for his practice. I can tell you that.
We cannot gloss over the fact that you can probably name only a handful of coaches who stay in the same place for 15 years. Right? So we have to think about that.
In the ACC of all places.
Right. If you have a down season, okay, these weren't his recruits, blah, blah. There's going to be a cushion given during COVID. That I get that. I'm not making light of COVID.
Right.
This guy has been there for 15 years. We're talking a big-time program.
Right.
We're not talking about someone who's written into Old Christian Glory College or whatever it is, who he's going to be there because his dad was there and this, that, and the other. This guy, 15 years, and there's something to be said. So Stringer, right? Vanderveer,
Yep.
right? Gino, Brenda. This is the company we're talking about here.
Yeah.
This is the company we're keeping with a job for 15 years. And you said it to him. You've said it to me before. And you got to make your daughters become my daughters. And he's got to treat them that way with that kind of care because it is someone's daughter. Clearly, he's doing an excellent job there. Again, Steve, this is the guest that gets me starstruck because I'm in the women's game. I love it.
Yeah.
So to get Q, we talked a few months ago I wanted to get Q. And you said, I'm like, I got to find a way. And here's Steve saying, I used to coach with him in Newport. I can get him. So thank you for doing that. Steve, we appreciate that. We are coming right back with our weekly sports rack-up. We're coming right back with our weekly sports wrap-up. DJ Krissy, let's do it.
At Peace Players, we use the power of sport to unite, educate, and inspire young people to create a more peaceful world. We offer sport programming, peace education, and leadership development to those living in communities in conflict. We challenge the hate that is driven by the fear of our differences. We bridge divides between people through the game of basketball, and we develop young leaders who help to change perceptions. Find out more at www.peaceplayers.org. If you're looking to increase sales and gain exposure, advertising opportunities are available. Contact our producer, Kurtis Cross, today. Email turneroneillpodcast@gmail.com to get started.
Let's get social. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter.
Connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, and on YouTube, search Turner and O'Neill and click subscribe.
This segment of Take It to Yo with Turner and O'Neill is sponsored by
Healthy Baller is dedicated to developing athletes at any level through customized programs created by their world-class trainers. Healthy Baller creates an unparalleled training experience centered around the athlete and coach relationship. Between their physical therapy team and strength and conditioning staff, they create an all-encompassing process to help injured athletes return to the field. For the young athlete, Healthy Baller is an excellent training and confidence builder. Paula and I personally know this as our children attend Healthy Baller twice each week. With Blair and Molly training our 12 and 10-year-olds, we can personally vouch for their expert training and dedication to each athlete. Call 844-622-5537 or visit healthyballer.com and tell them Kurtis and Paula sent you.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take It to Yo with Turner and O'Neill.
Welcome back to Take It to Yo with Turner and O'Neill. This week's episode is brought to you by Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Now, our weekly sports wrap-up. Coaches, the NCAA has extended the dead period for Division I recruiting now through May 31st. There is no in-person recruiting. Coaches, tell me about the impact this will further have on student athletes and coaches behind COVID.
With high school basketball, April is usually the first live period.
Right.
These coaches already have been, close to a year now?
Right,
without having seen these kids live.
Right.
Seniors who are still trying to get scholarships right now, killing them.
Right.
And I think it's a snowball effect. The juniors are getting hit hard, just as hard, because again, last spring and summer
really their time.
would have been their time to showcase and shine, and this would have been like the opportunity to put the stamp on it, and they're not getting that. And I got a kid living in it, and it's rough. It's not easy. We got to figure some things out.
Coach O'Neal.
So my heart goes, look, everybody knows the blue chipper for the most part. You can see it on film, the footwork. And that's where I'm going to go with this. Film is a big part of this because there's no in-person recruiting. They're not watching, so they're checking out the film. But it's the kid who is maybe just that notch below, right? That coach needs to see in person. That kid shows that sweat, that loose ball dive, right? Taking the charges. It's one thing to see it on film, but when you see it and then you see that motor live, that kid that's just below that top tier, it's affecting them the most. And that's probably 90 to 95% of most Division I basketball and Division I lacrosse rosters. So where do you go from here? I mean, how do you make, you saw the tweet I sent from Ty Zanders. How do you make one of the biggest decisions of your life when you can't even go on the campus and meet and sit down face-to-face with the coach? Yeah. And again, this is not the coach's faults. They're not making the decision. Right. The NCAA kind of has to limit how many people are on their campuses, but it's hurting those kids, and those are the kids I usually care about a lot more. You're blue chipper, man. You're blue chipper.
Yes.
You get that next level down. We're going to need a lot of help from the high school coaches, the club coaches, and these unofficial visits. Mom and dad hit the road with your son, and there's ways around it. These coaches have been creative, and we've talked about it before, but it stinks. It stinks, Coach.
The Ivy League has canceled all spring sports. It seems as though each time we start to hear this, more will follow. I know each of you have players in the Ivy League. How is this impacting them, or what do you foresee as the impact? Because we had a guest, right?
Yeah, he came to mind first, and not that we don't have a few others. He's at Brown, and then there's Luke McCaleb, and we have a player at Harvard, Princeton. So I reached out to those guys, but they're a little bit younger, and they had great answers. But it was the senior, Luke, last season, and the hope that crushed, absolutely crushed. And if you look at those Ivy League rosters, a lot of those kids took either transferred to the top levels, and you see them on the rosters at Duke or North Carolina or Virginia or wherever they went in the Big Ten. But others took a gap year. So, you might see rosters of people on those Ivy League teams that have, no joke, like 15 to 20 guys. Normal college rosters in the 50 range like that. So it's a big effect. You would think that the schools of that educational power wouldn't just, they've cut it, but you're seeing colleges do it now, like around the country. There's got to be a way. And that just stinks. I mean, I would love to see, is the theater department shut out? Is the other programs that they have? I mean, these kids are good, smart, tough kids, and if they want the choice to go play that sport in college, why can't they work? I just think those kids are getting absolutely hosed in the Ivy Leagues.
Coach Turner.
I feel strong about that.
No, I think they're definitely getting screwed in this whole situation. But I do find that they're very resilient in terms of taking advantage of some other opportunities. Guys are at home, taking classes, getting some internships, having an opportunity to make a little change, and get involved in what may be their career path after they put the stick down or the hoop or the ball down. So that part, I think they're understanding how to take advantage of the situation itself. But, you look at a guy like my kid Eddie Scott. He's, going to be a senior this year, redshirt junior, really. So he's now going to graduate in May, but have 2 years to play. But what he does lose is he's a kid who would have been in the forefront of the program. Now that film, that if he wants to try to go, and he's in the transfer portal, to go somewhere else, it's not as strong. So some guys are now having to reach back to his high school coach, talk to us about him. Give me who he is as a character. What's his work ethic? What are the things he did for you back then that you think can help us here at our school in the way that we play and the level that we're at? So I think relationships in these situations are also key. And we always talk about not burning bridges that you walk across, and so you never know what bridge you're gonna have to come back across, and and you want to be able to know that you went to a place where someone's going to be able to support you and help you. And so certainly I'm doing it with him. And then I've got another young man who's at Brown, and he wants to be playing. He's seeing all his brothers that he went to high school with, and they're on TV, and he's not being afforded that opportunity. You know, Ivy's did finally come back and say that those kids are going to get one more year. They did that recently, but even before they made the cut to the spring. But think about a kid like Josh, who was a freshman last year, sophomore this year, that if they didn't make that ruling, he would have just lost a year.
Yeah.
All right.
So at least they do get that.
They do get that, but I think they're cut so quick versus being a little more patient with an opportunity to maybe get these guys on the field. And I hate to see them have to do like what the Big Ten did in football, all of a sudden scrambling now. Oh, we're going to go now.
Right.
Now you got kids who – I don't think they will either.
Not for spring sport,
especially because of the kids who took gap years and
rosters,
how those rosters are going to be all messed up. How do you bring that back? But it's a shame that they didn't think this out a little better.
I know we're moving on here, but I can tell you this: those coaches, and I know pretty much all of the coaches in the Ivy League, they're still showing up and they're working. They're doing their best to recruit. They're doing what they can, which like all of us did what we can during this pandemic. It's just extending for them a little bit longer. And a shout out to the players in the Ivy League that I've coached, and I reached out just saying, I'm so sorry, I'm so bummed about this. And their attitudes were, thank you. It is what it is. We're going to move on, and it's no woe is me. These kids are going to work hard and do what they can, and in the future, Kurtis, it's going to have a big impact. It's going to have a big impact on recruiting, how many kids they can bring in.
It's already happening.
Academics, Ivy League lacrosse was probably, Big Ten, ACC, Ivy League is up there, and it's going to crush them back, I think, for the next couple of years. But I bet on my guys, the ones that are up there playing, they're studs. So,
speaking of rosters, I called a game this weekend. I won't name the team. I had to put a big thing on their side of the roster that said too many players. I couldn't fit them. 24 players on a men's basketball roster.
Ooh.
24. Anyway, between yesterday, today, and tomorrow, all MLB teams will have reported and gotten in their first workout. What will the 2021 MLB season show us? What are you looking at?
I defer.
You defer? You're the baseball guy. No, I love
but
baseball.
I don't follow it like you do. I certainly support and wish for, root for the teams that I like. I think they're going to be the sport that certainly has a chance to get more people in the stands as we move forward. So I think that can add to and help the game and help the players.
Sure.
So I'm excited for that opportunity to hopefully fall into play. Again, for me, I always like to see some change. So I'm excited to see who might be
my Mets.
That new team.
Give me a second.
That new team this year. And you guys are already saying it. You took the damn words out of my mouth. You can be excited this year. Go.
Well, yeah. Well, let's hold on. So we're gonna have to lay out a bet, I think, with our two teams, your Mets, my Nationals. And the older I get, the more I respect the game of baseball. The mind games that go in from pitcher to catcher, and when
you're just getting old. That's all that
I'm
is.
just getting. Yes, I am. I got a puppy.
Puppy
but
don't let you get old.
You're crying at Simba.
I see it. Pennsylvania, Virginia. Oh, I wish I had videotaped. She was so young. I think baseball is going to be kind of like hockey and hoops and what we see. I mean, they're gonna have to, rework some things and move some things around. Look, if you look at the stat lines of the Vegas odds, the futures.
What we got?
We got Dodgers. Okay, we got Dodgers up at the top. You get the Yankees, the Padres. We talked about them. I think they fade off into the But there's another NL East team that's above your Mets and my Nats.
Not the Braves.
They got the Braves at 10-1 with the fractional. So this is odds to win the 2021 MLB World Series. I don't see the Mets. Actually, the Mets are 6 on here. The Nats they're much lower. I mean, they're below the Phillies, which I think is totally wrong. So your Mets look good. Our Nats have done a few things. But
I could be. Steve called it. I could be
Dodgers,
a little excited.
Yanks.
You can be excited.
But aren't Mets fans excited every year?
Every single year.
That's like being an old school Caps fan.
That's like being a Knicks fan. It's like being a Knicks fan.
That's like being a Wizards fan.
That's the reason I'm a Wizards fan.
You the man.
You the man.
Calbert Cheney.
Well, let's have look with this weather that we're going through right now.
What? You know I like
You
that
the man.
song.
You the man.
Shoot, pass, score, slam. Ba-ba-da-da-da-da-da.
Dude,
y'all
I'll tell you
crazy.
what. With the weather we're having right here, Krissy, we've had enough snow. Speaking of baseball,
Krissy said
sitting out
no.
at a park in the summer
Some
night,
peanuts.
sun
hot
setting,
dog.
in shorts and flip flops and hot
Right.
dog, peanuts,
And
cold
on the
beer.
concourse, because you really don't care what's going on in the game. I mean, you'll catch up
Unless
to
it's-
it. But you're on the concourse chilling, right?
Yeah, until it's the ninth inning, right? Need 2 outs and see somebody get a walk off or something. But let's just get to that. Well, let's get to the spring season first.
Yes,
Let's-
sir.
Let's do it, baby. So good luck to all those MLB teams. Just a little more to our Washington.
Looking at the college basketball rankings, understanding that this is anything but a normal season, I don't see the annual shoo-ins. Duke, Kentucky, or North Carolina, I just don't see them in there anymore. As we move closer to March Madness, who is benefiting from this different sort of year? I think, is Gonzaga undefeated?
They and Baylor are still undefeated. And
No, I
yet-
don't watch them inside as much, but I've looked at the rankings, and that's what I feel like I saw, right?
I hear all this hype about Baylor and how good Baylor is. We know Gonzaga year in and year out.
Baylor to me is that old school UNLV team. Athletic,
Not grandmama.
yeah, athletic, physical.
Larry.
Can score from a lot of different positions, turn you over, impose their will on you. They're a team that's dangerous, but
Not Jerry Tarkanian.
yes,
biting the towel.
biting the towel. But they're high octane and can turn it on and turn you over and turn it up on you at any given time. Gonzaga, I think best coach team in the game right now.
Who's their coach?
Mark Few.
Okay.
They just run their stuff. He's due for a championship. I would love to see him go run the table, go undefeated.
Oh, wow.
Win it all. That's who I'm rooting for in this tournament. And I'm always going to root for my guys who are playing wherever they're at.
Michigan's doing well, I
One
think.
of them is in the top
They're
4.
number 3 in the country.
They're number 3 right now.
Yeah,
Just
one-
had a
one
heck
L.
of a game against number 4 this weekend.
Ohio State.
Great old school Big Ten top of the league battle, just knocking each other's heads off. And Michigan stepped it up and won.
Good
Can I
deal.
chime in on something between Ohio State and Michigan?
Mm-hmm.
Go to either sports Twitter pages of Ohio State and Michigan whenever they play. It could be swimming, it could be hockey, it could be lacrosse,
it's
it could be
bad.
football, it can be basketball, it can be baseball, it can be anything. It's hilarious. The shade those two schools, I think respectfully over the years, throw at each
Okay,
other. That
okay.
rivalry is funny.
Rivalry?
Hey, what did you say before?
You said rivalry.
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 It's not
That's
rivalry.
good.
It's not
Man,
rivalry.
we've had some fumbles here tonight.
But the
I've never had a Johnny Manziel moment.
You haven't because you're the author. You wrote the book. You wrote the book on
those
it.
Blue Bloods, Carolina and Duke, kind of picking up the last week.
Yeah, Duke.
When- when
they're
not
games-
done.
now.
they're
Villanova's
they're
having a good year, too.
I mean, Villanova's there, so I don't. When I think Blue Bloods, Villanova's been great over the last 8 to 10 years, but I'm still thinking about the Kentuckys, the Dukes.
UVA still in the
Carolina.
mix?
UVA in the mix, but
Yeah.
Duke had a big win, just knocked them off the other night.
Duke's
But I think it's those teams in the middle that you got to watch.
Hey,
Illinois, Alabama, Florida State's defense. They can smother you and turn you over. West Virginia. It's going to be some different faces when we get down to that Elite Eight this year.
and this team, I'm pretty certain it's not going to the Elite Eight. But our local Maryland Terps are making a little bit of
They're
playing a
making
little
a
bit of
run.
defense.
Well, the Big Ten's going to put a lot of teams in the tournament.
Oh,
the
it's the best
best conference by
country.
far. And if Maryland can, I don't know that they got to win out, but get close to doing it, they might slip into one of those spots.
On the women's side, it seems that the University of Maryland women, they've had some disappointments as of late in the past, 3 or 4 years. I think this is a different kind of year for them right now.
All right,
I think it's a different kind of year. They're always between, they get as high as 4 or 3 throughout the seasons, and they drop down to 8 or 9. They always battle with Ohio State in the Big Ten. They shared a conference title with them one year. One year they didn't make it, or they didn't win that conference title. But we'll see. I'm feeling kind of different, and needless to say, I'm going to be in my feelings. If they do it this year and get to a Final Four, it's the first time or first year I haven't had season tickets in a while, so maybe I was the bad blood over there. I had season tickets for a while. Krissy, let's go to break, and we'll be right back. Be sure to listen now at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or Google Podcasts. Download the app and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Become a friend of the program. Friendship contributions start at just $25. Each contribution helps to fuel Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. To find out more or make your contribution, go to www.turnerando'neill.com and click Become a Friend.
Building your brand is an important part of your business growth. By advertising with Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill, you'll gain the exposure and brand recognition behind our podcast. In Season 1, we reached a total of more than 100,000 listeners, viewers, subscribers, and website visitors combined. Your company will benefit from our popularity online and during the podcast. Advertising with Turner and O'Neill equals exposure on Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, and more than 15 listening platforms total. Inquire today and let's partner to build your brand. The final word is brought to you by Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. With a stellar reputation as an outstanding mortgage lender, Ray Cruz serves the lending needs of real estate professionals, builders, and individual home buyers in Maryland, Washington, D.C., Virginia, Texas, California, Florida, Illinois, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Ray believes that integrity is the cornerstone of his business, and helping you achieve your home financing goals is his business. Located in the heart of Bethesda, Maryland, contact Ray P. Cruz today to get started. Your home mortgage or refinance options await. Call 301-761-2278 or visit raypcruz.com. Ray P. Cruz, mortgages intelligently.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. We are back, and now it's time for our final word. Some thanks, and of course, our weekly quote this week offered by Coach Steve Turner. To become a friend of our program, we want you to go to www.turnerando'neill.com and click Become a Friend. If you'd like to build your brand with our audience of thousands, go to www.turnerando'neill.com and click Partnerships. For as little as $25 per episode, your brand can be represented here and on 15 podcast platforms on YouTube and across our podcast network. To connect with us socially, find us on Instagram and Facebook at Turner O'Neill Podcast and on Twitter at Turner On Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and get the episode drop alerts. Look, we're well over 100 YouTube subscribers. Let's keep it going. Now, when it comes to where you can listen, we've got you covered. Listen and subscribe on Amazon Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcast content. Just search Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. We invite you to subscribe so you get the alerts the moment an episode drops. We encourage you to join the conversation as we are a growing community here at Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. So write to us at turneroneillpodcast@gmail.com. Before we sign off, thanks to you, our audience, we are truly humbled that you choose to take a TO with us each week. I must thank our engineer, DJ Krissy, you two gentlemen, Coach Turner and Coach O'Neill, as well as Paula. Thanks to our donors, sponsors, and partners. We encourage our audience to support those who support us. Krissy, any final thoughts over there behind the engineer's table?
Final thoughts behind the engineer's table. We had a great guest today. He was a lot of fun. All of our guests are always a lot of fun, but he was, I don't know. He was
a DC guy, right?
Yeah. It was fun to hear. Man, it's the same traffic I used to sit in.
Yeah, because she lived in Atlanta, coming over this way. Gosh. I know that struck a nerve with you.
Oh, it did. I was like, yes. Absolutely.
Coach O'Neill, your final thoughts.
Rivalry. I just wanted to say that.
You want to redeem yourself? I'm going to edit this out. Yeah. So
okay, go for it. Go for it. Great episode. Just when I think, we can't get any sort of better with this show just gets better and better. I mean, the guests, as you mentioned, and we talked about, these are just incredible leaders, incredible men, women, and folks that have come on here. And sometimes I just sit back and say, wow, pulling this off. It's great. So.
Thanks to DJ Krissy.
Yes.
Thanks to you. It's always a pleasure to be behind this mic with you folks. Great guest today. I can't say any more than that. I'm Quentin Hillsman's the guy.
Can I a real shout out to my nephew Noah Richard, who was a friend of the program, is a freshman at Syracuse University. So go Orange.
And they're on our screen.
Go Coach Q. And here's to all those good rivalries out there.
All right.
Love
Coach
you, Noah.
Turner, it's your quote. Close it out, sir.
I'm going to give a shout out to my youngest son, Jared Turner. Got another offer this weekend from Coach Jones in Old Dominion University. I'm just proud of him and his work and how he's on his grind and trying to make himself be the best version of him he can be. Most importantly, in the classroom, and he's also doing some good things on the court. I think the biggest dream killer to me in life is fear. So my quote today has a little bit about fear, and it comes from Rosa Parks to go along with Black History Month. You must never be fearful about what you're doing when it is right. Drop fear.
DJ Krissy, pull the plug.
Take a TO with Turner & O'Neill would like to thank our advertisers. Our premier partner, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, and Insurance Alliance Group, LLC. Our sponsors, O'Neill Development, LLC, Next Level Lacrosse, A Squared Home and Office Solutions, Collins Funeral Home, and Peace Players International. Our donors, Winsight Media, Gene the Barber, Body and Beyond Wellness, and Justin O'Neill. Take a TO with Turner & O'Neill is produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by DJ Krissy. All material is the exclusive property of the podcast and may not be copied, rebroadcast, or used in any way without the written consent of the podcast. The views, ideas, and commentary of podcast guests are solely their own and not necessarily endorsed by the podcast. You may submit questions, podcast ideas, and commentary to turneroneillpodcast@gmail.com. No compensation is offered for submitted material. Should we choose to use your idea, comment, or question, you agree to your likeness, social media identity, and/or information being used on the podcast. Take a TO with Turner & O'Neill is recorded weekly and distributed via Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more than 15 podcast platforms in total. You can also view Take a TO with Turner & O'Neill weekly on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest episode drops. Some portions of the podcast may be pre-recorded. Join us socially on Facebook and Instagram at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, and on YouTube. Search Turner & O'Neill and subscribe. Our website is www.turnerando'neill.com. Advertising opportunities are available.